their national initiatives, and they select the top 10 issues, and we do this through these meetings that we have at the national conferences. And here is the list of the top 10. This does not mean that there were not other things on that list, but we have to, of course, narrow it down to 10. And so you can see at the top, alcohol use, drug use, basically substance abuse, suicide, self-harm, human trafficking or missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, school dropout, sexual abuse and violence, single-parent households. Our youth are very concerned about the family unit. Lack of cultural identity is among the top 10. Bullying and gossiping. Blood quantum, and those of you who are Native know what this means. For those of you who are unfamiliar with that, it is the percentage of Indian blood and recognition of a tribe based on your blood quantum. We're the only ethnic group in the country, in the entire world, that has to prove who we are through blood quantum. That is a huge concern among our Native youth, because there are Native youth who are out there that I know personally who might be 6 different tribes, but they don't have enough of a percentage to be enrolled in any one of those tribes, but they are 100% Native. Wow. So that's an issue, that's a concern. Now you're starting to see terminology that self-identify. I've seen applications where it says self-identify as a Native person. Why? Because you have these full-blooded Natives that can't enroll in a particular tribe. So do we take that away from them? Do we take that identity away from them? That's an issue. And then the last one we kind of lumped together because it was a tie, and that is youth and family incarceration, poverty, lack of positive role models. So I wanted to share that with you because, again, our youth are very concerned about their tribal communities. They want to take action. They not only talk about these issues, but they come up with solutions to address those issues. This past year, their national initiative was mental health, and their theme was restoring the spirit of Native youth. As a result of the pandemic, because many of our young people were affected just like you and me, mental health is a huge concern. So I'm just going to end with asking those of you who might be interested in learning more about our programs to check us out on any of these platforms. Our website is unityinc.org, UNITYINC.org, and we're on all of the social media platforms. You can also find contact information on our website if you'd like to contact me personally, find out more about the Earth Ambassador program. I hope that you will nominate a young person this next year so that they can again come to Unity and shout to the world what their initiative is about our Mother Earth. Thank you, Ahie. God bless you.
Thank you, Kim, and our two speakers. What's the flower we have a gift for you? Have a round of applause, please. All right, please help me welcome our next special guest. He is the Vice Chairman of the St. Charles Apache Tribe, Teo Atkinson.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Teo Edmondson. I'm Vice Chairman of the San Carlos Apache Tribe. Winsor Nosey Sr., as you all may know, he's the former chairman of our tribe. We had great times when he was the chairman, and I've been a big supporter of everything that he does, especially with Oak Flats. Saving Oak Flats has been a big project for him, and it's been a big project for our tribe as well. I'm proud to say that as a member of the Tribal Council, I've been on the Tribal Council in San Carlos since 2007, and I started off as a district council member. We have 4 districts in San Carlos, the Peridot District, which is the largest district, and Councilman Nosey, or Mr. Nosey, has been a councilman from that district several times, I think more than once. And he's recently been on the council as a representative of the largest district in San Carlos after he had been chairman. So we also have another district, which is my district. It's the largest, second to the largest district in San Carlos, is Gilson Wash District, and that's where Mary Kim and I are from. She has no problem standing in front of a microphone. She said she loves it because she's beautiful. She has no problem. But and then we have 2 more districts, and they're smaller districts. One is in the far east of our reservation called the Vilas District. Then the other is the Seven Wash District. So those are the 4 districts. And I was representative to the Gilson Wash District since 2007 to 2014. I just recently got re-elected to my 3rd term as vice chairman. So I'm here. And as vice chairman of the San Carlos Apache Tribe, I will continue to stay committed to support saving Oak Flats. Oak Flats means a lot to me and my family. Just not too long ago, I lost my sister December of last year. And then this year, just on November 4th, last month, I lost my mom. But speaking of family, my great-grandmother was a medicine woman, and a lot of my ancestry are people that were very knowledgeable in our Apache religion. And that's why Oak Flat is very important to me, because it was a place, a sacred place. And sometimes we have challenges in our own community where people tell us, well, I never knew that was a sacred place. Or my grandparents never told me that it was a sacred place. Or my grandparents didn't know that it was a sacred place. So my response to them has been, just because you don't know it's sacred doesn't invalidate the sacredness of Oak Flats. I was fortunate enough to know with my family and a lot of people in San Carlos, and thanks to Apache Stronghold and Winsor Nosey, we have been educating our community how important this place is and how we must save Oak Flats. In Arizona, it's drying up, where water is a high priority, and we cannot lose this site to a mining company where it will put our water source in jeopardy, because it's going to require billions of gallons of water to operate a mine, and we can't afford to have that happen. Nobody can now. Before, they looked at us like, oh, it's just the natives that are fighting over a place where your ancestors used to be. But our ancestors were not the only ones that used that place. Our people have been using it. We just never publicly said, this is a sacred site, we use it, we pray there, we have our medicinal herbs there, we have a lot of our traditional beads that we pray with there. We don't say that publicly, but because it became an issue to save the site, we had to step forward and we had to share with the world why the Oak Flats is very important to us. Now, people have joined us in the community more than before, because water is a really big priority in Arizona. And we have upstream users of the Gila River that are having problems because they're getting limited in how they get to use their water and how they can pump it because of our rights. Native American rights to water is a really big thing because it helps us preserve land as well, like sacred sites. So the Tribal Council has been, and Windsor is the one that started this. He had coordinated and networked with all the other tribes. We would go visit other tribal councils and we would ask them to pass a resolution to support saving Oak Flats. And we go everywhere. We go into New Mexico, other states, all the tribes in Arizona, and they would pass a resolution to say they support saving Oak Flats. And then that would go to the NCAI, and there we get support. We get support from the ITAA as well. So this is something that Windsor started, and I was so thankful that the chairman, after him, Terry Rambler, continued on with that, and we still do that to this day. And anything else that we need to do for this effort, we are open and we are willing to help. We've been, standing strong on this for many years, and we'll continue to do that. So that's the kind of working relationship we have with groups, or with the Apache Stronghold, with our archaeology department. Her budget is tiny, but as far as helping her and supporting her, we're there. We'll work on the finances later. But, it's a very important thing for all of us. So I want to thank all of you for supporting Apache Stronghold, supporting Mr. Nosey and his family, and all of us that are really out there wanting to make sure that this mining company doesn't take over, because it wants to take over for all the wrong reasons. And I'm so proud of how well the litigation is going. I think Apache Stronghold prevailed in a decision just recently. Can we get a round of applause for it? And then also St. Carlos Apache Tribe, our case, we prevailed as well recently. We're good. We just got to continue to stay together and stay united and keep our doors open for those who want to help us in this battle. And we will overcome, we shall overcome. I know there's a time limit of 15 minutes or something, but I need to go again to another place, I think, with the Big Brothers and Sisters or something that Alec Ferreira, my assistant, is helping me coordinate with. And the reason why I bring this up was because after hearing Mary Kim talk about unity, she's done a lot for our tribe as well in terms of our youth. She got our youth council going again. She babysat the youth council until they started to get on their own, and they're doing well. They still work well with unity. Our young people are very important. It goes without saying. They are indeed our future, because right now the crime rate we have in San Carlos is very, very difficult, and I hear that in other places as well. I think even Joe Biden was having an issue with crime control, that we need to do more things. And in his speech, he talked about how youth can be influenced to where later on they become productive people and not criminals. So earlier I heard Mary Kim say that lack of positive role models, that's where our challenge is in San Carlos. We need more positive role models in San Carlos, in the San Carlos Apache tribe. And Windsor has been a great role model, teaching our youth about our history, about who we are as Native Americans, has really helped our youth. There's been a lot of our youth involved in the Apache singing, the sunrise dances, and all of that. So I just want to say, continue, Mr. Nosey and Apache Stronghold, and doing what you're doing. You have all my support. If you need anything, just ask, and I'll be there. Like this week, I was supposed to be actually. The chairman, Rambler, is in DC this week to meet with Joe Biden and the Secretary of Interior, so he was out there all week this week. So I was designated to be acting all week this week, but I could not miss today's event and be here for all of you. So with that, thank you, and God bless all of you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. We have a gift for you as well for traveling out to be with us today. Okay, now I'd like to welcome our next special guest speaker, the President of the National Congress of American Indians, Fawn.
Oh, yeah, wow, I just literally flew in to the Tucson airport and just arrived with timing. Creator always has just perfect timing. This whole week I've been in Washington, D.C. attending the White House Tribal Nations Conference. And so when I got the invite to be here, I was telling the organizers, it doesn't matter if I have to take a red-eye flight. I was up at 5 o'clock this morning, D.C. time, which is 2 a.m. our time on the Pacific Coast and at Quinault, my homelands. But when I knew this event was scheduled and happening, there was no question. If I had to take a red eye, if I had to get up early, I would not miss this. So I am so very honored and grateful to be here today. You know, all the conflicts and all the battles and all of the challenges confronting Indian country over the years and the generations, what we are confronting today is a culmination of an effort to not only attack tribal sovereignty, but our very existence as Native people, our sacred sites, our children. 2 weeks ago, I sat inside the United States Supreme Court to hear oral arguments in the Brackeen case, a case brought by the state of Texas to challenge the constitutionality of the Indian Child Welfare Act. And it was disheartening to hear justices from the highest court of this country, the United States Supreme Court, not be able to understand the connection that we have to the long history of our cultures, and the fact that only Native parents can gift to our children the inheritance that we've all received, the inheritance of knowing who we are as Native people. Not only who we are, but our connections to the natural world and our connections to our sacred sites. And so, coming off of that hearing, I went to Egypt for the Conference of Parties, the International Climate Negotiations. And while I was there, I had a chance to talk to some of our First Nation relatives from Canada. And as it turns out, Canada has a similar law to the Indian Child Welfare Act. In fact, it was drafted patterned after our Indian Child Welfare Act. And come to find out, the province of Quebec is bringing a lawsuit and challenging their Indian Child Welfare Act following a similar strategy as the state of Texas. And I had a chance to talk to these tribal leaders, and I said, you know, what we're finding out in the United States is that the law firm that is representing this non-tribal family is doing this pro bono. And they are funded in large part by fossil fuel industry, by special interests, by dark money. So we know this case is more than an attack on tribal sovereignty and a challenge to our ability to ensure the future survival of our tribal nations and our children remains intact, but they're after our natural resources and our sacred sites. That is the bottom line of these lawsuits. And so when I consider events like this is the front line of protecting all that we hold dear. And I just want to say on behalf of the 574 tribal nations in our representation at the National Congress of American Indians, we have resolutions, and we will not stop until this is not only overturned, but the full spectrum of our sovereign powers and our connection is not only going to be intact for this generation, but for untold generations to come. We will not stop this fight, and we will stand strong and united. I also want to say to those young people in this room, much of the work that we are doing is going to be implemented and executed by your generation. And every time I have a chance to hear our young people speak, there's no question our future is in good hands. And to every elder in this room that has ever taken the time time to sit down, to counsel our tribal leaders, to counsel our youth, to counsel everyone in between. Thank you, because you are that generation that is oh so close to that time when we exercise the full spectrum of our inheritance without interference. And we are going to ensure that not only our generation, but the generation that is coming up will make sure that that chain is unbroken, and that each and every generation from this point forward, we're going to continue to grow stronger, more resilient, and more determined to hang on to all that our Creator has gifted to us. And nobody can take that away from us. So on behalf of the National Congress of American Indians, I'm just, again, so very honored, grateful, and happy to be here. And please know that we stand ready to support at a moment's notice. As I said, this is something that is very near and dear. As a young tribal leader representing the affiliated tribes of Northwest Indians, it seems like a lifetime ago. I think it was at least a decade ago. I received a passed along note from a Chopin tribal leader, and he said, I want to introduce you to Chairman Rambler. There's an issue going on with Oak Flat, and I didn't know anything at the time, and the more I got into understanding what was happening, I found out there was a 500-page document they just handed to me, and I took a look at this document, and it was at that point when I knew that I was called. I was called as a tribal leader to, again, on a moment's notice, be ready. And there were a couple of times when I was heading to Washington, D.C. to represent my tribe, the Quinault Nation, on appropriations testimonies and other things. And I received a phone call at the airport that the next day there was going to be a meeting with Senator Bernie Sanders to try to introduce a bill to undo what had happened with the National Defense Authorization Act. And so I just can't say enough. The roundtables, when I saw the press release on Oak Flat that said the site's going to remain open to practice ceremonies and religious practices so long as it's safe. And in the roundtable and in the testimony that I delivered that morning, I said that tells us that at some point it's not going to be safe. And that tells us that somebody is predicting and anticipating there's going to come a point in the future when this right will end, when it's not safe. That is not religious freedom. And that is something that is unacceptable, and we are going to continue to fight that. And so that was a good decade ago, and I'll never forget the day that I heard the news that it was passed in this must-pass spending bill. And there was no question in my mind at that point. Even a decision out of the United States Congress is something that is not recognized by the inheritance that we've been gifted and the messages that we've received in songs and ceremony and prayer. And we know that the United States and all of its entities, whether it's the administration, whether it's Congress, or whether it's any federal court, that those institutions are entirely powerless to separate us from that inheritance and from our spiritual connection. Even though there are hundreds of treaties in the United States and we've relinquished lands, we've never relinquished that spiritual connection, and that will always remain from this generation for untold generations to come. And so I could go on and on. I get really pumped about these issues, and I just feel so strongly about them. And I just know that we're going to prevail. And there are times when it may seem bleak and it may seem challenging, and we may wonder, is this going to really happen? It has already happened. These gifts we've already received, and we already have the inheritance, and we already have the vision, and we already have everything within us to ensure that from the beginning of time until the end of time, Oak Flat is going to remain with us and with future generations. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Fawn, so much for your words. Please don't go far. We have a gift for you right up front. I don't know about you all, but I just got super excited. During break earlier, in passing, I overheard someone tell her friend, whoever she was with, she's like, I feel so alive. And it was so pure, and it was exciting to hear, because you can hear the excitement in her voice. So. We're gonna do some raffles. We still have a ton of prizes.
So I pre-picked some names to just be ready. Okay, numbers are 288336 for Nikki Hill. A beaded bracelet and a poster from Protect Oak Flat. Next number, 288402. Holden Wilson. Holden Wilson. No Holden Wilson. So next number 288364. Oh gosh, I think he left already. Eric Dishchin? Yeah, I think he's not here. Okay. Okay, 288387. Larry Foster. Hey, Larry. For Tiana Vizcara? She gets a t-shirt from the Kuchan Runners, Secret Runners, and poster. And then also a little tiny bottle of the Peridot minerals that are mined from Peridot, Arizona on our reservation. It's the only area in North America mine where Peridot is manually by hand mined, and then also one in South America, and the rest are across the seas. So it's the I think we're going to keep going. All right. Next number 2882 273, Nathaniel Russell. Is Nathaniel here? All right, next number, 288292, Demetria Steele. Demetria Steele? And is Demetria here? No, Demetria? We'll keep going. So next number 288314, Katrina Gia? Go ahead. Okay. 288304, Kenya? Okay. She gets a turnout necklace and bracelets and earrings. Next person number, 288283, Chet Stevens. Chet Stevens? No? Okay, 288288, Preston Erwing. Preston? Gone? Okay, 288361. Madeline Francisco? Madeline here? No? Wow. Nobody's here. Everybody went to the casino. John Murray. 288356. Christina Cruz. Christina Cruz? Okay. Looking at all the faces, I'm like, okay, I'm getting scared now. 288284, Julie Kavanaugh Bill. No, Julie. We're just gonna keep going. Oh, yeah. Oh. Next number is a 288388. And yes, Vanessa Nosey. She just got her ticket like 40 minutes ago. Okay, we're gonna do another.
288357, Nina Castro. Nina wins a silk scarf and a necklace with her that went around the poster. We can do another. We can do two more. Okay. 288266, Sean Mulford. 288312, Cooper Curley. He had to head home. Cooper was one of our original occupiers too. Just a fun fact. 288351, Mary Gibson. 288401, Cooper II. It was his daughter.
288,405. I think this person's actually not here. 288,405. Going once, going twice. Oh, sorry. Okay. 1 second. Let's see. 288278 says Vernelda Grant. Let me see your ticket. Okay, I'm gonna pull out some more. Thank you guys for hanging in there. Okay, 1 second. 288295, Sage Evans. Okay. Last 3 digits, 295, going once, going twice. Okay. I'm gonna shake it up. So you guys see it's all fair. Okay, 288297. 288297. Mary Garcia. Okay. We'll put them aside. There's still more raffles though. No worries, no worries. Oh, let's see. Okay. 288296. 288296. Going once. Josephina?